Are we live? I think we are live. Hit you with the beat. Oh! Welcome back to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. It is April the 2nd, 2020. Oh man, as we're coming off a big stream yesterday with 3 Blue and Brown. It's going to be a smaller stream today because we don't have his gigantic, crazy fan base. But we do have some cool things going on for you today. First, we're going to put in some songs with the, I don't know what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Check it out. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's see what we got here in the chat today. We got, tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're from today. We see we got Chino Hoshi back again as usual. Oh, there were some people who were putting in where they're from, like, even before we loaded this thing. People are getting wise to my ways. So we got, the Memguzians here from Lancashire. We got David D. Clote from Switzerland. We got someone from Germany. Czech Republic. Hey, he says Topuda Gogoy. How's it going? How's it going? Greetings from Maine, Athena Luna. We got hey from Vancouver. What's up from Constance, Norway, Switzerland, expat from Netherlands. King Gaming is back. I believe King Gaming is from Lebanon. We got India, Mexico, France. Cool. Yeah, welcome everybody. We got a good stream for you today. We got another guest on today. Let me introduce him right now. Please give a very warm stream welcome to Gwydion Weber, everybody. Yeah.
Hi.
He's here.
He's promised that this is gonna be a good stream. I speak for yourself, mate. I cannot make such promises for me. So let's just don't get your hopes up.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's just welcome you to the stream. Welcome, Gideon. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so welcome.
Yeah, it's like that thing that Seinfeld does, where someone will introduce him as the best comedian in the world, and he's like, "How am I gonna compete with anything that was before that? The expectations of the audience are so high now. What am I gonna do?"
Did I introduce you as the best streaming guest in the? I don't believe that I said anything of the sort.
I have short-term memory problems. You might have said anything.
I think I think I said that this would be a smaller stream than yesterday, for sure. Yesterday we had on Grant from 3 Blue 1 Brown, and there was a barrage of math nerds inhabiting the chat, and that was fantastic. Today, yeah. I think, you know, we're more people of like similar notoriety, you and me. Are you doing this full time, this YouTube thing? Is like you making enough on like Patreons and stuff that you like this your job, or are you still doing something else?
I do this full time, but I also do other things sometimes to like make my pockets a little heavier.
Yeah.
You know,
what do you do when you're not doing this?
Well, I would have gone to sell strawberries. That's something I really like.
Strawberries.
So the thing is, I'm a YouTuber and I'm also a writer, and both of these things are things that I do at my desk.
Right.
And there's no one else here. And I don't even have cockroaches. I have like no vermin in the house. I can talk.
You don't have those little those little creepy house centipedes that come out in the summertime.
Oh, silverfish. No, yeah, I have those. They're very good. They're good vermin. But they only come out at night, which is when I am my most active usually.
Right.
So that's an issue.
Okay, so strawberries. How does this
it's
relate
anything
to
where I can talk to people. is a good thing to pad out the money bag.
Yeah.
Because it's just I enjoy customer interaction a lot, and it's not something I get to do a lot here, even when I'm like live streaming with people.
Jeez. So this, like, we were chatting a bit before the stream. This whole lockdown situation sounds like it's a bit of a special hell for you, and if that's how you get your life force, is interacting with folks.
Yeah, well, I'm not like necessarily a super extrovert. I'm more of an omnivert, so I need like a lot of alone time and I need a lot of people time. But yeah, I'm not getting one particular of those things, and it's depressing.
I can relate. Although I'm having more social interactions now than I used to, because I think I have a default position of wanting social interaction, but also feeling the burden of the effort needed to produce the social interaction just like a little more strongly, especially if I'm like, it's kind of an add-on effect. If I get a little bit of it, I want more, but if I don't have any, then I don't want it enough to go and get it. And I just so like, the weird thing is my daily routine has been like me here at home in my basement, often at like crazy odd hours. And now that everyone's at home, like, everyone wants to like hang out and FaceTime and chat and live stream. I don't know. It's like sometimes I'll actually go to bed like exhausted from social interaction while not having left the house.
Jesus,
At
dude.
all. So I'm not sure what to do with that. But I don't know. I do agree with you that it's like, right now it's still a poor substitute. Like, the technology isn't there to make this the same thing that like going to a pub would be.
Yeah. I mean, I can make beer at home, but it's just not as good.
Yeah, I mean, I can also go to the corner store and buy beer and come home and drink it by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not entirely
There's a
sure.
particular beer brand that is like quite cheap at this current time and date, where I could purchase vast amounts of. It is unfortunately not a beer brand that I like very much.
Do you think it's still cheap? Like, there was like one story of like all these people won't buy Corona beer, although I suspect that story was influenced in its percentages by the type of people who answer random telephone surveys about what kind of beer you drink. But
yeah, probably.
I don't know. It, like, there's no publicity is bad publicity, right? Like, there's no beer more talked about in the world at the moment.
Yeah, there's like a lot of people, and like in the early days of the pre-crisis, when we were still going to like birthday parties and stuff, everyone was drinking Corona beer, ironically.
Yeah.
So they probably did make a good bit of bank.
Yeah,
I did see like pictures of the beer rack empty except for the Corona ones, but I suspect this is just someone from the supermarket who put it there first in the morning and then hadn't had the others loaded yet and then took the picture.
Or specifically did that and thought, you know what, I need a little bump in my self-esteem today. I'm going to make a meme and post it onto the socials, and you know, this will be good.
Yeah. No, it's very impressive that you had like the bona fide genius on yesterday, like a 3 Blue 1 Brown, brilliant guy. I understand none of what he says ever. It's like he's speaking Mesopotamian. It's just such an alien language to. I'm not sure he speaks English in my head because I do not understand mathematics at all. So it's a very good variety of guests that you have, where it's someone who's very smart and then just straight up a mass of idiots just on the next day.
I don't know. We'll see. Like, I feel like you're in that category of someone who very much you present yourself as an everyman. There have to be ways that you're incredibly non-average, because like, just looking at the amount of things you do, the amount of YouTube videos you make, and like the amount of information that you process in whatever form you process and then like put it into something cogent. I make like 2 videos a year, dude. So,
that is true. Yeah. No, I'm addicted to information. I'm glad that I didn't live like 30 years ago, because I would have just died of boredom. I need constant new like intellectual stimulation or just dumb stuff, like just vulgar bottom of the barrel. I need everything, all of it. The whole barrel is what I drink all the time, and it's very stressful. But if I don't do it, I just get bored immediately. So it's very difficult for me to stay focused on. I can stay focused on one thing if I have other things that I can also focus my attention to. So I switch around between like several different things and projects over a long period of time. But speaking of your 2 videos a year, this is the story of how I learned about Mr. Acapella Science.
Oh, hold on, we're gonna do this because you've told me this story.
Okay, yeah.
Even though this is our first time actually speaking face to face, you like related this story when I first DM'd you. So as we like to do, the tone of this story is what would you say is the emotional quality of the story? Because I'm gonna give you some background music to relate story time with Gideon.
Oh, that's a very difficult question you asked me. That ketone center that you just had,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Just like a G.
No, that's a bit too happy, too bright. Maybe a bit like more comedic. I'm gonna try to go for more comedic cadence.
Like we could do like 80s kind of thing.
That's too, no, it's more relaxed. It's mostly a story that happens in bed. Yes, that one. Let's do that one.
I'm not great at ragtime, but I'll do my. Whenever you're ready, go into story mode.
Okay. Yeah, so people can hear me over there.
Yeah.
That's good. So, here's the thing. Last summer, I was seeing a girl. And because I work this thing that I work as, I sleep till 11 every day. That's just a thing that I do. And she had a 9 to 5. And her ringtone was always this guy. I don't know which side of the screen you're on from me, but it's always some song.
I'm to your left, I believe. You can try.
So it would be this guy.
There you go.
I think
yeah,
that's
perfect.
yes, it's this guy. And so when somebody walks through the hallway that I don't know, I wake up, usually. It's too much, oh, you are in danger. No, I'm really not. And so every morning, just Tim Blay blasts out of her phone at an ungodly hour of like 8 in the morning, where most people are already up. And what happens is that I wake up also, and then I have difficulty falling back asleep. So I think to myself, this is something that's happened with every woman that I've had anything with, who's ever slept in my bed.
Hold on, every woman you've ever been with has had me as a ringtone?
No,
I
have begun hating their favorite band. It was just this instinctive thing. It's like, no, they might make good music, but I need to hate them. And that is what happened with this YouTuber that I didn't actually know.
Damn.
The master himself, Tim Blay. And then, you know, so we eventually stopped seeing each other. And he DMs me on Twitter, which is, you have to imagine, I'm a small-time YouTuber. This is like a big time. He's like a big leagues guy. He's a famous Walk of the Stars, you know, where the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, that's the level of fame that this guy's at. Actually, I'm pointing here, I should point here.
Yes, you should. Well, I mean, feel free to keep lavishing me with compliments, but please point in the right direction. We don't want to
want to confuse the audience.
Yeah. It's not that guy over in the other window while you're watching Veritasium or somebody. No.
So yeah, and then I was like, I found out about that this guy was actually following me for a longer period of time than I had known about him. And it was a very strange experience to have that happen to you from like a big YouTuber. And I actually did get into the music, and because I didn't get woken up by it every day anymore, I was actually able to not get incredibly angry every time I heard his voice.
That's beautiful.
That's how that works.
There you go. Well, I hope that like now I'm at least passable. Hold on, we're gonna take that hydration right now. We're gonna do a little hydration sip.
Okay, let's do it.
On the. This is a really weird water bottle. I started using this water bottle a couple days ago. It's got like it's one of those ones that has like the trigger on it. So you open it up and like a little hatch opens up so it's safe or whatever. Like you can flip it upside down. But the problem is that if you open it up and there's like water in it, there's some sort of mechanism that like sprays you in the face.
Do you live in space?
You know, I would love to. I think if they had a call of like people going to Mars or whatever, I don't think I would do it, but I think I would consider it, because being in space is one of those things that I've wanted to do since I was 4. But this is not space. This is just like an annoying, perky water bottle that like someone left at my apartment, and I have no idea how I acquired it. And I also do not ever put things down in a place where I know that I put them there. And so 2 days ago, my water bottle went somewhere, the one that I usually use, and it's probably still half full of Gatorade, but I cannot find it. So
I just blame the little green men that live in my apartment, which is that's normal, right? That I talk to little imaginary fairy creatures that live in my home.
well, it's nice that you have. I think most people talk to something in their home. Like I'll talk to the walls. I don't know what I'll talk to. Like I'll talk to. That's actually a really good question. What am I speaking when I speak aloud alone in my house? I don't have a good answer for you. But for you, it's specifically like you've had characters installed in your mind to fulfill that purpose?
No, it's usually just myself. And I always have like an audience in my head. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I have it's just immediately gonna get weird. I have like very mild paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay.
So I always feel like there's an audience watching everything I do. So it's like the idea of talking to like myself is one that comes very natural to me. The thing is, I've been doing it less and less over the past week, and that worries me.
Over the past week.
Yeah, just because of the isolation thing. That actually worries me a lot.
Huh. That's in a way that's, I don't know. What's your explanation for that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I want to be able to continue talking to myself. I'm the only one that doesn't get extremely irritated after talking to me after a long period of time. Maybe it's because I'm used to it.
Do you have do you feel like you have much of a difference between the self that you are with yourself and the self that you put on the internet?
That's a difficult question. I think to a certain degree it's it's like code switching when you know how when you speak to different people you change the way that your voice is and the accent you have a little bit. It might be that with the language thing, where if I speak English, I'm a bit of a different person than if I speak German. But generally, I do believe that it's the same thing. Also, apparently in German, I have an English accent now. I'll be out in public and just talk to people, and they'll try to speak English with me because they hear my accent. And it's like, no, I'm fully German.
So your first language is German?
Yes.
Okay. You would have fooled me, because I would have believed that you were British, probably. I mean, I've never heard you speak German, but do you have like any German language content? Are you interested in doing that?
I have some old videos that were German. I had when we had an election on, I did some stuff on that, but I haven't done anything in German for a while. I don't really care about what happens in Germany that much.
Wow.
So I'm completely divorced from the pop culture around me. I understand, I know everything that's happening in the Anglosphere, but when it comes to, have you seen this incredibly famous thing that's happening in Germany and is visible everywhere? It's like, no, I have never heard of this in my entire life.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah.
So you're like we have Francophiles or Japanophiles or whatever, and you're like a whatever Anglospherophile.
No, I hate Anglos, all of them. Just
excellent.
No, it's just yeah, maybe I guess I find it. I don't know. I just feel more comfortable in it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I do really feel comfortable like being German and being in Germany.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, it seems I've talked to John Perry about this, who's evolution YouTuber, stated clearly, um, about like, because he thinks about everything in like evolutionary contexts, and thinks about how cultures are, in a way, they're like evolution accelerators because they're selectors. Because if you are born into a culture that doesn't fit your like whatever innate traits or like preferences you have the option of jumping to a different culture. And so you're going to be like, you might have been selected out of that culture anyways over a long term if you had no choice because they don't like you and they don't mate with you or whatever. But the reality is you'll leave a lot quicker and end up somewhere where you feel comfortable. And there's this kind of like cultural speciation that happens. So
Yeah, I mean it's a mimetic evolution.
yeah,
It's all just memes.
it's all just memes. That might be the most accurate statement about the 21st century that I've heard. It's all just memes.
Oh, it's just imagine. I tweeted about this yesterday. Just imagine in like 40 years, there's going to be kids just idolizing like the current era of memes, the way we idolize the 80s and 90s, and it's like, why? It's
Do you
so bad.
but like, do you think it's gonna like, are they gonna follow along? Like, at some point, is it going to be that like Rage comics and like Advice Animals are cool, and then later on, like Now's memes become cool again?
Hmm. Yeah, that might happen. Although I think this is a fundamental problem with the current era of culture, is that it's so self-referential.
Hmm.
It's all just memes that refer to other things. Like most of the films that are coming out are sequels to something,
Yeah.
or if they're not sequels, they're so embedded in like the current cultural zeitgeist that if you watch them in 30 years, you need to be a historian to actually understand if you watch a lot of films from the early 2000s, they just don't make sense anymore, even if you lived through that time period,
Hmm.
because they're so self-referential. It's very difficult to pin down like a distinctive style about the noughties and the tens as decades, I would
Hmm.
argue. Although it certainly probably exists.
But the style is this self-awareness and self-reference.
Yeah, and I mean that just doesn't age well. It's
Hmm.
funny. I love being part of this, and it feels very unique. But it's not going to be jazz music that we're still listening to in 100 years.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder if there's something about the internet that's like sort of amplified that strain of human thought, because like, I don't know, there have been people that have argued, like Douglas Hofstadter is big into this, that like the core feature of humanity and consciousness is self-reference, right? It's I am thinking about myself, thinking about myself, thinking about myself. And maybe that's been like maybe there's something about the lack of circularity in the way media has been produced, where that whole part of humanity was underrepresented for like all of time, where it's like, you know, you can think, like, you can have great authors who think about their thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and put it in a book and then give it to the audience, and that's the end of the line. That book is there forever.
Yeah.
But now we've completed another loop. And I don't know, maybe that's actually a more natural way for humanity to think.
Yeah, there's a lot of like audience interaction. I mean, there's like celebrities. I hate the fucking word celebrities. But
What do you prefer? Do you have a preferred term? People?
No, I actually don't.
People with people
Famous
watching them.
people? I never understood where the word celebrity comes from. It's because they're celebrated, right?
I guess.
But is it at that point but is like fucking what's this? Ah, Jesus, sorry.
So
It's a very cursy person.
we talked before, because I've noticed your channel is very cursy for sure.
Yes, I'm extremely. Any is just replaced by a swear word.
It's actually like, it's surprisingly difficult to not curse while rapping, especially when I'm doing the freestyle rap, because there are so many blanks in the phrase where a curse word or a curse phrase would just like rhythmically work so perfectly. And so I'm always kind of stopping myself. But I don't know. Like I actually I think I take a very Vsaucy approach to swear words generally. In that, like, I personally don't understand what's bad about them, and yet like, but I like as an intuition. But I do understand their place in society and the usefulness of having words that are restricted words.
I really don't.
No.
No, content, like I can see why we don't expose like small children to pornography, but I don't the words just they're not words are not meaning. Words are just sounds that we make.
Well, words. I mean, words are sounds that we make that have meanings in people's minds, and so the kind of the argument for having some sort of pride of place of swear words is that they take the place of a more ancestral form of communication, like a more emotional, visceral. This is a really intense moment, right? So if you need something, if something horrible happens to you and you really need to communicate, this is worse than the normal things that are happening to me.
Yeah.
You're able to use this curse word, and because in polite society you wouldn't be allowed to use it, suddenly people understand that this is a special situation. So I kind of understand that. But it's
interesting.
That gives, but there's an interesting thing where those, like, what words are in that category evolve over time, and they're very generation dependent. So like, I find for our generation, like the words, like most of the words in, say, like George Carlin's monologue don't really have that anymore. I'm trying to learn, because I know there are some older folks in the chat for their psychology, those words do occupy that category. And I've talked to my mom and dad about this, where it's like this, it goes into like an emotional place where it doesn't for me, because it just never went into that. And I think there are other words that fill that for me that I would be uncomfortable with.
That's an interesting point, because I was always in the camp of just the swear words are not like, if I say a particular swear word, it doesn't mean the thing that it references. It just means I am swearing, just as you said. And it's, you can, I mean, it's very culturally dependent. There is this is one of my favorite facts about slurs, slur facts.
Okay, we're gonna do slur facts right here.
Are you Canadian?
I am, yes. Can you tell by the voice? Is there like a Canadian accent?
Yes. It's when you say words, just any of them. It's immediately, it's okay.
when you use your mouth, you sound like a Canadian.
No, I have family in Canada. Like, I have several branches of my. We can come back to that. I can't. So you know how Canadians are called Canucks by Americans? Yeah. So that's the main interpretation for where that comes from is the Hawaiian word kanaka, which means person.
Okay, Hawaiian.
Yeah. In German, we also use that word in the form of kanaka. Okay. Now, the thing about that is that it's basically the thing that is most equivalent to just the N word in German. Okay. Yeah. Which is hilarious, because I have been called this in my youth many times. And it's just this innocuous, friendly term for Canadians, and then just, the people who are at the bottom of society.
So is it in German? Is it used in both of those contexts, or did it become?
It's not. So it's not the German N-word is just the same as the English one. Okay. It's mostly used to reference people from the Middle East, specifically Turkish people, but you can. Like, if you're lower class, which I am extremely lower class, I come from like the lowest of the low categories. I mean, I grew up in a boys' home. The people like that, as soon as you're not blonde and you're in the bottom rung of society, people call you the word, the K word. Okay. But it's a Hawaiian word, and in America, it's just a nice term for Canadians. It's insane.
Yeah, it's very odd. I mean, I didn't even know that it had an etymology. I figured people just started saying Canadian and sort of got tired.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Like, added an ending to it. I don't know. We have do you know canola oil? Do you know why canola oil is called canola oil?
I know cannolis, but I don't know canola oil.
So canola oil, it's one of these cooking oils that is like, I don't know, it's like you see it beside peanut oil and sunflower seed oil and whatever. It's like a big export of Canada. But it's named canola, which literally is just kind of a neologism of like Canadian oil type product into a thing called canola.
Huh.
And the reason is because the original name of the plant is rapeseed, which has nothing to do
Yeah.
with rape at all. But it just happens, like, it comes from a completely different etymology. I don't know what the etymology is, but it's probably from ripe or something like that. But it became this huge product where we all of Western Canada was like, this would be a great export, but we cannot export it with this particular branding. We've got to figure something out. So I'm not sure where we go from there. Can you, like, I feel like probably unlike yesterday's stream, probably a lot of people here have never encountered your work, because like you've been featured like on, like, what was it, Nerd City did a little piece where you were featured about YouTube.
I was on a Nerd City video. One of the ones where we had like all of the people in there, and it was this huge. This is something that's true about YouTube. I've done some collabs with Zeno.
Who's that?
Is Zeno? He's a YouTuber. He does like animations, but he's got a very professional animation style. But at the same time, it's like very absurdist in the way that he does humor. And I've worked with him a couple times, but I've not really been on the big stage.
Yeah. Well, this is not precisely the big stage. We have 50 people watching right now. This will probably a couple thousand people will see this. I've been unlisting these videos after a couple of days because I don't want to swamp my
That
viewers
makes sense.
with,
Yeah.
like, here's 20 of these that you're gonna get mad at me and not be able to find my other content and unsubscribe. So they're all like in a playlist just on my YouTube page. Like, here, isolate together. Christian Grosser says that rapeseed comes from the Latin rapum, meaning turnip. So yes, presumably a very different etymology.
Is this like how maple trees were originally called genocide trees, and that's why Canadians changed the name?
I did not. I cannot tell if you're being serious, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that because I enjoy the ambiguity. I was wondering if you, like, do you have an elevator pitch when people are like, hey, what do you do on your channel? Do you have that down of like, here's the thing that I can tell you in 30 seconds? I've never been able to do that.
No. So here's something. I was in Amsterdam last year for my fan meetup that I did. And people, like, it just kind of comes up when I was like hanging out with two of my moderators on the Discord server. I was running around the city for most of the time for like the days surrounding it. And it would just at some point come up that I did YouTube, and people would ask, and I would just point to one of them and say, please, you say it, because I have no elevator pitch. On my channel, I talk about things that I find interesting. Like, I don't even remember the video I did 2 days ago. It was a UBI one. Yes. It was about universal basic income and how we need it otherwise we're all going to just completely get annihilated economically.
It does seem like a surprising number of people are coming to that opinion. But you have so many, like, there's sometimes I'll see a new upload from you and it's like, here's a half-hour meditation to just like calm you down. And like, if you're in an anxious state, you've got anxiety, here's a thing you can listen to. And it's like, oh, it's not really on brand, and you don't care. But it's a really useful, worthwhile thing. Your brand is in some ways whatever you want it to be, which I really
it's just
appreciate.
me.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's a good like concept.
What?
I think that at this point that might do me more harm than good, because I do like 2 videos a week, which is a lot. But it eventually leads to a point where you're a fan of the channel, and most of the videos that do come out you don't really care about them.
Hmm.
And so you just ignore those videos, and then eventually you ignore all of the videos that come out, and so it's not it's not as great as if I were to do like a very streamlined, this is the one thing that I do. But the problem with that is that I would just get bored instantly.
Yes. Yeah.
Just 2 videos of something, a subject matter that I care about deeply, I would immediately stop giving any amount of a defecation about, just because I'd have to do it. And that's a character flaw, really.
Well, maybe, but it's a character flaw that I relate to, I think. And it's one of the reasons why I think I've struggled a little bit on this channel, because when I put it into place, like, this channel is not branded as personality. It's branded as a very specific thing. It's a cappella science, and that is what I intend to deliver to you. And so, like, I guess up until now, because I'm sort of thinking, like, now is a crazy time and no rules apply, and so I'm gonna do what I want. It's my channel. But for a few years, I thought, well, like, I have to make a cappella science for this channel, and this is what people want to watch. But at the same time, like, even though it, like, fuses different parts of me more than any other creative project, it still leaves a whole lot on the table that I'm very interested in. And so I would go off, like, so I just have projects, like, scattered in different places. Like, I've got, like, musical things going on that nobody's seen, and I've been putting together this sort of, like, jam space in my basement, and I don't know, I've been, like, there was a while I spent a couple of years just, like, super into, like, figuring out homeless people and their problems and how to help them, like, in
very
my early
noble.
days. And it never went on here. I was never like, let's make content about this, because I don't know. I don't know if everything has to be content for me, but I like that I don't know, you have that freedom. Like, the sad thing is that I do think that, like, it might, I don't know. I do think it probably limits one's reach to be all scattershot, and yet that's precisely the people that I admire, are the people who do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, my channel is just dying. That's that's my universe. No, but it's I do appreciate it, and I think that if I did force myself to do a particular kind of thing, that just the quality of the content would suffer, and it's very important to me. That's something I'm always interested in, is to deliver a product that I can believe in when it comes to the quality of the thing. But yeah, I mean, especially you with having, like, this very specific channel, YouTube tends to punish people who deviate from that massively. Like, I don't know, do you know Chubby Emu?
Yes. Yeah, I've met him once, and I definitely like his, like, he's very specific in what he does.
Yeah. And he had this, like, a year ago, had this April Fool's stream where he would just read some medical dictionary or something.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just annihilated his analytics for a long time, because YouTube was like, people only watched a low percentage of this particular video that was extremely long. Therefore, nobody is interested in watching any of this guy's videos. I am smart. That's how that works.
Well, we're gonna have to see what this project does to my YouTube channel.
It's like I've been like, ooh, is he just destroying himself now? It's like, no, but it's important to, especially, this is like a very noble thing to do, because people are, like, lonely.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some mental breakdowns.
And that's the thing, is, like, I couldn't go on during this thing, and like I didn't feel comfortable with like the tone that my channel has, like, making, like, here's your coronavirus song, because it's like, let me sing in a goofy manner with silly faces about, like, a global catastrophe that may cause the deaths of millions of people. It, like, I don't know, I've told people that I would be willing to do an eventual, like, triumphant song for our glorious victory over the coronavirus, but that's about as far as I'll go. But, like, I also feel like I can't, at this moment, do business as usual, where I produce something that's totally unrelated. And so for me, it's like, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like, well, what can I actually be useful with, and what'll actually, let at least give some people a bit of, I don't know, a bit of entertainment, a bit of reprieve, a bit of listening in to hopefully some interesting conversations. And like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I've never really felt like my channel has a community before now, and this is kind of because I just kind of make things and then they go viral or they don't, and then it's you wait till the next thing. But now I've got like a Discord and people in the chat that I see every day, and I don't know, like I like this version better in a way. Like I'm not that I'm gonna stop doing all the songs. I have a lot of ideas that are still in the works, but
You can't really film right now either.
well, not I can't film in. I can still pretty much do my entire operation because I don't have anyone else doing this. It's just me in my basement.
That's a big thing that I'm happy with, is that I just do this alone and I don't have to rely on anyone else. That's very good.
Well, it's just that like the economics really aren't there as a YouTuber, because like you're doing this because you love it, and you're satisfied with like having a if you're lucky sort of being at the poverty line or close to over the poverty line, and it's like a suitable exchange for doing this thing that you love. But if you hire a single person and you have to pay them anything over the poverty line, it's not going to double your audience or double your income, and then it's not really feasible. So you kind of have to wear every possible hat.
It's like I see a lot of like big YouTube operations that had it's a bit of a trope, but like the soullessness of being like hyper corporatized, which
Like
is something that has
like,
happened.
like the Watch Mojos or the like amazing top tens or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's some channels who have done it well, where it's like a team of people working on the thing. Sugar Pine 7, for instance, was like a good thing of a team when it was still active, which of course now it isn't anymore. I think Philly D is doing it quite well, but he's focused like on himself. Like he's still the focus of the channel. But a lot of it's like corporate ventures that just go, oh, we're going to put together a team and they're going to make a YouTube channel, and that's then run by like social media people. And they do gather success at some point because they're good at playing the system. But it's just, I don't care about it. And you notice that the people who were there doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah. No, I know people who have been part of those operations and like been the hosts or whatever, and had to do 5 videos a day, 6 days a week, just cranking them out. And I think there's a half-life on how long you can do that. Although on the other hand, there's a half-life on how long you can be hyper productive as a one-person operation a lot of the time.
Yes. I mean, unless you just never change what you do ever, and just, I mean, there's not. Well, I mean, our writers, because see, that's the one thing that I do on a separate channel is my short stories and my audiobooks, because I feel like it's just so out of the. At least with the main channel, it's all just me talking in front of a bookshelf.
Yeah. If you
And
want
with
to,
that,
I don't think I put a link into the description about that, but if you want to like link it in the chat or something.
They'll find it. It's not a. I don't promo it as much. I kind of stopped working on it a lot so I could focus on doing like novels. But that's also, is it a one-man operation if like you're an author, right? An author you would think of as a one-man operation. But really, in the process of publishing a book, there's editors involved, and there's agents involved, and there's printers involved. And really, with YouTube, is like we upload these videos, and there's some poor corporate drone working in the Google servers, running in the big hamster wheel to keep them going, and they're part of it too, right?
Yeah. I wonder? Do you know how that what that actually looks like? Because did you get that email at the start of I don't know, a couple weeks ago of like, hey, YouTube is going to be worse at like monitoring your videos for the next little while because of the pandemic, and we're we're putting it, we're giving it over more to the AI bots and less to human beings. And it sort of made me wonder, like I had never thought, I get, whenever it is humans looking at our videos and trying to figure out how to categorize them, who are those humans and where are they and what are their working conditions and are they pandemic safe? Are all questions that had never crossed my mind.
From what I know, from people that I know, they're just freelancers. They're basically people that don't hire them on Fiverr, but they're people who sit at home and they have like a big app.
Okay.
And they get sent videos and they're supposed to... It's the perfect job to do while at home.
Huh.
I do not understand why YouTube isn't just having them continue do it.
Okay.
I guess there's probably some people who work at the Google headquarters, but like most of them are like minimum wage people who watch YouTube videos all day and have like guidelines that they can ultimately ignore on what is and what isn't considered safe content.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure because like Facebook, I think contracts out a lot of its like moderation to more like corporate enterprises in like lower income countries where they'll have a whole bunch of people together, like working in an office and just going through all of the worst posts and racism and porn and whatever else.
Oh, damn, that would be a job that I would love. Jesus.
There are definitely some articles about how traumatizing it has been for these people. But if that's your thing, I mean, maybe it's, rather than strawberries, you can...
No, but I mean, that would just take away the human interaction component. But it would be a fascinating insight into like the deep, dark recesses of the human condition.
For sure. And maybe you have a cubicle mate that you can occasionally be like, hey, dude, get a load of this guy.
You know, like the FBI agents that are watching us.
Yeah. Oh, actually, there was a Grant and I had a few conversations before yesterday's live stream, and we had this running joke that we were running the NSA podcast, which is essentially definitely there's someone listening to this conversation right now. It's just not an audience that we're aware of. And now we get to open it up. And right now we're going through Zoom, which means that potentially we're also being watched at the the headquarters of Zoom, and for who knows what reason, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I was on Zoom. I had heard of the app, and now that we're using it, but there's something about this that just has shady energy. Like going on the website, even though it's like white, blue, super modern design, I kind of still felt like it was an Eastern European guy trying to sell me used tires in a back alley.
Well, I think it's a Chinese company. Someone might correct me on that, but they have definitely, like, for a while their installer for Apple was like, because their kind of build is like just like click it and it works. But the problem with click it and it works is that you basically have to do a whole bunch of malware exploits to get around all of like the safety features of Apple being like, are you sure you want to install this? Or do you absolutely understand what you're giving it permissions to? And it would just bypass that. So it seems like a little bit of a shady company, and they're advertising like two-way encryption, where in fact I think they're only doing one-way encryption, so they can actually like see your video in the middle. So, well, anyways, hi. I mean, this conversation's on public record anyways, so.
Just with the amount of corporate espionage that can just go on now because everyone's in their home office.
Yeah.
It's so absurd to think that like 2 months ago, it was just everything was normal. And now you have big journalists doing interviews with internationally known politicians, but they're in their living room. And their dog is chewing on the palm tree in the background. And like you can see the half-empty bottle of milk sitting out on the kitchen counter. And it's just everyone is a YouTuber now. Just everyone is now on YouTube all the time, even if they're in the big media.
Yeah, and the big media people are having trouble with it. They're like, how do I do this without my audience?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, how do I do this without my 10 technicians that do all of the things that aren't speaking words?
Yeah,
Ah,
true.
Jesus.
Remember when everyone was putting like masking tape over their laptop webcams at home so that like just in case someone might turn them on remotely and watch them. And now it's like, well,
I
I'm just
still do that.
yeah. But now everyone is like working all the time on these streams and showing their homes.
It's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's just the speed with which the world has turned so bizarre from a status that was already bizarre.
Mm.
Because if you like, even 2 months ago, if you explained the current world that we lived in to someone who had existed 10 years ago, they would have laughed at you.
It was
Like
already
if you had,
strange.
yeah, if you had been a time traveler into like the year 2009 and going, well, a reality TV show host will be the leader of the free world, they would have put you in like a loony bin type situation because no one would have you would have just been declared crazy.
I mean, we had Reagan. Like,
That's true.
we already
Yeah.
we already had an. There were echoes of this beforehand. We had Reagan, and then we had Arnold Schwarzenegger. Somehow, I didn't follow the story. I don't know how he pulled off becoming governor of California. That man, he's just seems like a pure force of will. I don't know.
Yes, there's nothing he can't do.
Whatever he decides to do, he succeeds at.
He should cure coronavirus, frankly. He should just learn how to into one of his many tanks
Yeah.
and then just blast it.
Yeah, not even as a joke. Like it's not that Arnold with his current capabilities can like crush coronavirus with his biceps, but he does seem to have a particular magic around him.
Yeah, it just is the incredible willpower is one of the like greatest just skills and assets that you could have as a human being. I feel like just the ability to do a thing and to try and do that thing with such an intensity that no matter what level of opposition you face, you just break it eventually. Just the yeah, there's this game show host in Germany who would do this competition where he would go up against just random people, sometimes like professional athletes,
Okay.
and really like just average people, but like the top tier of the average. And he's like an overweight comedian, right?
Okay.
And they would compete against each other in a series of just like jet ski races and having to like different tests of skill, intelligence, and such things, which neither of the two participants knew anything about beforehand. And he won this so often against people who were smarter than him, against people who were physically fitter than him, simply because he had this insane willpower to win. He just wanted to win at all costs. And that is how he did it. And it's like magic.
Well, we were talking yesterday about like deliberate practice, and like the research on how, like, for one thing, almost anything can be practiced if you're deliberate about it. You can practice it to an absurd degree, and become superhuman. So like the example that Grant gave yesterday was this like, how you can, like, standard theory of working memory is that I can give you like something like 7 to 9 random digits and you can feed them back to me. And after that, like,
No.
it's
Not for me, mate.
on average, it's 7
Yeah.
to 9. For some people it's less. I think for me it's probably less than that as well. I have great musical recall, but every other form of recall is pretty terrible. But
For me, it's 0.
there was a man who practiced this feat over and over again, of just like once per second you get read a random number and then you have to recall it back at the end. And just by deliberate practice went from 7 to 20 to 30 to 50, ended up at over 80 that he could do fairly reliably. But the other thing is that it doesn't translate to any other skill. So it doesn't, you're not improving your overall memory. You're very specifically improving that task. So it sort of makes sense that, like, if you're going up against a basketball player who's never jet skied, they might have this impression that they're going to be better overall, and there's probably some some element of like body comfort that they have, but it's a new skill. You're really starting from scratch. You have to, and then it comes down to your will. How much are you willing to practice intentionally? How much are you like willing to just go over it over and over and over and bang it into your head?
Yeah, and it's also like the way that you would approach that problem. It's like, oh, it's a new thing. Like, I know this. So this is a new problem. This is a new skill that I have to learn. I'm just never going to do it, and I will always be afraid of it. And then you have people who just punch it in the face and they just do the thing. And like I think that's the attitude with which you approach these things will have a big effect on the outcome. Like, if you feel more confident in the situation, you can make decisions more quickly. That's it. I'm just coming up with this as I say it. I do not know how one of my sentences will end when I started it.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's one of the beauties of conversation. Is that like I don't know, you figure out what you think while you're speaking, or at least you're like testing it out. I don't know. That's something that would terrify me, doing like something like what you do, is like the idea that what I think right now is going to be encased in time, fixed, and someone might go back to something I said a year ago and actually like believe it's my still held belief. Because I feel like, number one, I have very few like opinions and many caveats and error bars, and I'm also just kind of, I don't know, that would make me really nervous.
So I go back to videos that I did like a year or two ago, and I go, what level of idiot is this? Why would you ever believe something this incorrect? So it happens, like it does happen, and people will come up to me and say, oh, you believe this and that. And I will not even remember at any point having said anything like it. It's not happened yet that I do a video that I've already done an identical video to. That hasn't happened yet, but it's only a matter of time. And
do you ever do like specific retractions, or like is there, like, people talk a lot about,
I can remember one that I did, but that was where I did a video on Monday, and I felt like it was about how I didn't like media critics. I don't know what the specific point was, but it was I know that this was a thing that I always feel like media critics are people who just didn't make it, but they understand it and still have like taste.
I mean, that's the critique level that all critics, right?
But it was also, it came with the caveat of that this is just a feeling that I have, and that it's probably not actually or that accurate. And then I did a video on Friday where I also did a big caveat that I should have been doing, because I hadn't thought of that when I was creating the video, about how media reviewers, I don't see them as the same thing as critics, because they actually provide a much more valuable service to the market of because they create more informed consumers, as to opposed to like being pompous.
So what's the difference between a media reviewer and a media critic?
It's probably arbitrary. It's like, it's not a fixed line. It's like a gradient, because many reviewers also do like critiques. Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm not sure that I could tell you. It's just it's what what's his name? It was one of the judges of the Supreme Court of the United States, Scalia.
Okay.
It's like what Scalia said about pornography, right?
I know it when I see it.
Yeah, I know it when I see it, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel about critics.
Okay, but I genuinely, I think those words are just synonyms in my head, like reviewer and critic.
Yeah, and they were for me as well. And then I thought about it. That's, I think, the only retraction that I've ever made.
Okay.
Because there's so many things I'd have to retract. If, like, at some point, if I, if at any point I reach your levels of international glory fame and somebody tries to cancel me, they
Hello,
have
50
so
people in
much
my
stuff.
international glory watching here right now.
They just have to go through my Reddit account once and just find heinous things I said maybe 5 years ago.
Mm.
Um,
All right, please, please, those of you who are watching this, please don't do that and then cancel me by association. I disown everything Gideon said up until the past 5 minutes, and even then, I'm not sure. I have to look at this critic versus reviewer thing.
It's something that I've never understood, because if I see something that somebody said 5 years ago and I go, that's a bad take, my assumption is, okay, let's ask this person if they still believe it and then make fun of them if they still do.
Yeah.
But just to assume that the person hasn't changed in that period of time is unfathomable to me, that could be the thought that someone could have after reading something that one said at some point. Like, just when you can see the date on which it was said. If you think the tweet was from like an hour ago, okay. But if you know that it was a tweet from 10 years ago, I don't.
Well,
like,
I think it's one of
how?
those. It's one of those ways that people are incapable of realizing that they are themselves a person just like the person that they're currently looking at, I think. Because like I've noticed that there have been a couple cancellation cascades that have happened, right? Where like a person is canceled and then the person who originally called them out, people dig into them, they find things that they said 10 years ago that were offensive. And I've noticed like because it's just true that you forget almost everything that you said and thought and believed and were more than a little while ago. Like I'll go back to when Facebook gives me those like memories. Here's a thing you said last year today. 80% of the time I go, wow, no. I'm not, it's like, do you want to share that? I'm like, no, please let us bury that way down, because I don't know if if I don't disagree with the opinion that I have, I disagree with what a pompous ass I sounded like there on my keyboard late at night writing it.
But isn't that a good thing, though? Isn't it good that you can look back at your past self and say, what a just moron?
Yes.
Because at that point, like, that now you're better than you used to be. It also means that hopefully in a year you will be thinking of the same thing about the current you.
Mm-hmm. But you have to go back and look, like, you have to do that to yourself. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if more people had to do that, maybe they would have a better sense of like the unfixedness of everyone else. But I don't even really know, because people do that even to themselves, right? Where you don't imagine that you'll be as different 5 years from now as you are now from 5 years ago. And I certainly won't think of myself as an idiot when I'm 35 the way that I now think of my 25-year-old self as an idiot.
Yeah.
Which statistically is incorrect.
It's this it's I mean, for other people, it's odd how little people are aware that they themselves change. That is true. But also I feel like when it comes to when other people change, it's a little bit that if you're a person in someone's life and you change, you kind of take something away from them, because they had this image of you and that is the person that you are to them. But then you decide to basically kill that person off and be someone who isn't that. So you're taking away a part of what defines their reality. Which is, I think that's something that why I think a lot of people struggle with. I mean, it's like this phrase, "Oh, you've changed," and it's like, yeah, I am a person. That is what we do. But people get offended by people changing, even if it's to the better, because they have these expectations of you, and when you realize that the expectation that you have of reality doesn't match up with the actual reality, you feel bad because it might be dangerous or
Yeah.
something. That might be an evolutionary adaptation.
And it allows you to control, like, I don't know, control the variables in the narrative if you can, like, it in your own life. If you can correctly box someone, it's a massive simplification on just like the processing and worrying that you have to do every day.
Yeah.
But if you're boxing someone at a low resolution, you're almost never going to be accurately updating them in your mind over time, and so they just become like this past version of themselves, more and more kind of degraded, until like, and you can not notice that for a good amount of time. And I definitely feel like I've had roommate relationships that have gone that way. I'm sure that plenty of marriages go that way. Not that I have been married. I have no firsthand experience on the matter.
It's like with children, right? Where I remember when my little sister was young and I would go visit my father. And she would, like, every time I went there, she would have just grown immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And like my father wouldn't notice because he saw her every day.
Yeah.
And even though it was like a week or two that I didn't see them, yeah, it's like that. Yeah, where you just if you see a person more rarely, you get more snapshots of it, and the differences are more pronounced as opposed to just the fluid development.
Mm-hmm. And you sort of imagine that subconsciously you're keeping track of these things, but you're really not. Like, you have to consciously focus on them and change that view in your mind, or you'll at some point just end up surprised by it.
Yeah, although I do feel that it's easier when you're constantly exposed to the thing to keep track of it.
Yeah, because it's forcing itself on your
it's more.
consciousness.
Yeah, it's like this is different now, and you
Yeah.
don't notice as much because it's like always like small increments.
Yeah, no, I like that's especially crazy with young children. Like from baby to a few months, not so much. Like, it's like you raised your head up, you smiled, it's cool. But there's this process, like from like 1 to 3 years, especially. It's just like you can miss a 2 week period, and then you come back, and they've gone from seemingly like it's like the difference between an unconscious and a conscious being almost. It's like all of a sudden, like it's for sure that's not actually what's going on, but they've all of a sudden managed to express their like personhood, like they're speaking, they're laughing, they're like, it's like, oh, where'd you come from? I don't know.
Yeah, it's I mean, the universe of children is also much more vast than our thing. It's like, I remember when it's like you have like my brother, who I think at this point should be like 6.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like talking to him at some point. He was fascinated with Star Wars.
Okay.
And so when I went back to the city where I live, I tried to get him like a Star Wars toy, and I sent it back down to Cologne. And he wasn't interested in Star Wars anymore because in my timeline, only like 2 weeks had gone by. But to like a child of that age, it's an insane amount of time. Which, I mean, it also is to me. I feel like there's a lot of people say that like time just passes by faster as you get older. I have not experiencing that at all. Okay. I feel like things just go slower.
I feel like I'm more the norm in that regard. It's definitely true for me that, I don't know, Christmases come and I go, wasn't it just Christmas? Maybe it's, I don't know. I have a feeling that as you get older, part of it is that you judge how long, how like the time span by the things that you have done and the things that have changed, more than an actual like counter going on in your, maybe that's always how it is. But for me, I've found that I don't know, I think that's one of the reasons why people keep saying, I can't believe, like, I guess it's April, but like 2 days ago, people were saying, I can't believe it's still March. Like, it's just, like a month ago, Pete Buttigieg was still vying for a Democratic nomination, and that was our biggest concern. And here we are in the middle, like it feels like 10 years has gone by. I think there's some aspect to that where your psychology is not so much a ticking clock as it is like a change detector.
Maybe this is because I always seek out new ways to like new experiences all the time.
Mm.
Maybe that's what makes time just seem slower to me because just so many things happen.
Hmm.
And like every week is quite different from the last. Well, I mean, it's not really. I'm just sitting in my house all the time. I'm reading different articles on the internet. So that has to count for something. I say articles, I mean Reddit posts that are poorly formatted and have grammar of people that don't seem to have graduated high school.
Is that
But
your
hey,
like? Do you have different? Is that your general? Is in like internet is your main source of information? Is that?
unfortunately, yes. I
Mm.
wish I could like talk to more people and I wish I could travel more than I do,
Mm.
but unfortunately, I am extremely poor. So I would just go play. I know a guy who has like a restaurant here in town and he's Peruvian, and he
Mm.
said that I should, if I ever wanted to go to Peru, he would host me in like his hacienda, and he would introduce me to like old people who live in the, because I speak Spanish,
Okay.
to like old people who live in the area, um who would then tell me about the ancient aliens that created their people, and I'm like,
That sounds
yes,
like a lot of fun. And
give me all of that, but I can't.
well, airline tickets are super cheap right now. You know,
So just
just take a trip, man.
so that, yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff. Like I would love to be able to do that, but unfortunately, yeah, the most of the interesting things that happen, I
Mm.
have to go to the internet
Yeah.
for.
Well, I do. I mean, I do want to put in a recommendation for libraries and books, which is a recommendation that I myself am like consistently failing because it's a little it's more of like a willpower thing to get into a lot of the time. But I think one of the great mistakes that people trying to do something like what I'm doing make is that they try to get all of their information from the internet and presume that if it if it exists and is interesting, it's already on the internet. And the truth is very different, I think. Like the internet has a very specific kind of thing that can get made into an article or a Reddit post or a short piece. And going into like every time I go into a library and actually bother to pick up books, and it's like once a year, and then I don't go back for 3 months because I failed to read the books and I'm ashamed of my late fees. Um, but every time I do, I'm like, how this would have been an exponentially more efficient way to spend my attention on gathering new information that I can now, adapt and put onto the internet.
Yeah, it's a bit also, if I'm reading like an article on the internet, I will there will just be something that's mentioned.
Mm.
Like I read Wikipedia like more than I people should.
Wikipedia is great. You just go to the sources and then
Yeah, and no, I just read the articles. I don't, why I don't want to pay for a Elsevier subscription. Um no, I just, it's just,
Sci-hub.cc, my
yeah.
friends. Sci-hub.cc.
I wasn't going to
You
mention
didn't
it.
hear it here. It doesn't exist.
There is no such site. But if you were to type those letters into your Internet Explorer, which you're hopefully not using,
Please don't use it. It's a terrible place to get all
yes.
of the scientific articles for free.
Yes, do not do that under any circumstances.
Yes, we do
It's
not
very
condone it.
important that you don't do that, and then neither Tim nor I condone that
Yes.
at all.
No,
It's very important to
no,
make that
for sure.
clear. But yeah,
It's
no, I
it's
just,
definitely not used by academics and science communicators the
yeah,
world over.
that's not something that actually happens.
No.
And it's not also not something where most people, if you ask them, actual academics would go, yeah, do it. That also never happens.
Well, you can't be liable for something like that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, often you could just you could write emails to the people, to the academics. It's like, oh, Elsevier wants me to pay 5,000 euros for like 5 paragraphs of text. I'll just email this person who, is cleaning up hippopotamus poop in California, and they will just send me the paper that they wrote.
Yeah, and that is actually fully legal. Like scholars
Yeah.
keep the rights to PDF their papers to whoever they want. Someone is asking in the chat, what's the name of the website again so I can avoid it? Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's
Just Google that and figure out what the like what the current link is, because it changes every so often. You'll figure. Don't Google that, and only keep that link in your browser so that you can never go there.
yeah, this is like a PSA.
Yes.
Just say no.
Yes, you wouldn't download a coronavirus cure.
But yeah, Wikipedia, and it's just you read something, and it's there's something in blue here that's somewhat interesting. Let's get context for all this, and then after an hour, you have 20 articles that are open. Whereas if you have like a non-fiction book, I read a lot of fiction books. Non-fiction, very difficult for me to do, but it's like you start here and you end down there. And even the way Wikipedia articles are constructed is not necessarily to explain something to you, but to just display information in a certain way that is organized in a way that somebody thought would. It's like reading an encyclopedia. It's not it's not built in a way that's meant to impart knowledge.
It's more
it's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. I found that if it's not specialized, then it's great. And probably that's partly because there are people who are unspecialized, who understand it, who also understand the art of communication. But the more specialized you get on Wikipedia, the poorer this gets. And that's on full display if you try to learn mathematics from Wikipedia. It's much worse than a textbook. It's literally it's a soup of like references. Like this set is the I don't even know the language, but going back to like axioms trading each other, and it's all described in this like very dense set theory that you would really care about if you were Bertrand Russell, and you don't care about if you're trying to learn the mathematics and apply them to your daily life.
Yeah, that's the big problem with Wikipedia. Although, I mean, some textbooks have this problem also, but then they're just like bad textbooks, or textbooks that are too smart for whoever person. I need to give someone textbooks. I mean, the semester's not starting anyway. But,
is there a plan? Do you know, like, does Germany have? First of all, is there a plan? Full stop for the world? No. It seems like there is no plan. Does Germany have any sort of like have they come out with like things of like, here's how we're gonna ride this out, here's what, like, when you'll be going back to school, that kind of thing?
Well, currently they're saying, maybe Easter, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it should happen. If you look at like the epidemiology of the whole situation, I think like definitely the whole month of April will still be lockdown. Maybe in May we will see some things that become a little lighter.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's currently all the plans are how do we like deal with this immediate situation, and it's a lot of the government giving money to mostly massive corporations, but also the people. I do actually qualify for money from the government, but because I haven't made any huge losses yet, I don't know. What do I can get up to like 5,000 euros just by
really?
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'm eligible around here. Like for it's I could try it. I mean, I suppose they're getting. They're getting the kind of volume where they don't do a lot of legwork, I would assume. But like, I'm one of the few people in the world whose job is not really impacted at all by this.
Do you do Patreon?
Yeah. So I have seen some people leaving my Patreon in the past week. Probably
I actually haven't. Yeah. That's weird.
Okay. Like I think I'm seeing a leaving and a simultaneous influx, because of this. I think people are appreciative of this, that I'm doing this, and they're going and signing up to Patreon. And there are other people who are like I don't know. I wish I had an exit survey. I don't know if do you know if there's a way to put an exit survey into
Yeah, they have
Patreon?
exit surveys on Patreon.
Okay, I should
You
go
can
look at them.
Yeah,
Because right now
but
I don't
mean,
know whether it's because people don't like this new streaming thing I'm doing, or whether it's more because it's just, you know, like there's 10 million people out of work in the United States alone.
Yeah, and I mean that's a big factor to how. Like a lot of the people that donate to me on Patreon live in the Midwest,
Mm,
and that's gonna get hit hard by the economic fallout of this.
yeah.
And so I'm like my future is directly tied to the financial future of some trucker from South Dakota, which
Yeah.
and you know who you are. Hi, if you're
If you-
watching the
If
stream.
you've found this stream. Yeah. Oh, let's take
Oh, yeah.
a little. Just
Yeah, somebody asked
for
for
your
it,
water.
too.
Someone asked for it. It made me realize that my mouth was a little parched. So let's take this space age water bottle or your mug or whatever you happen to have handy. Just take a little sip.
Oh, hey, Oakstaff.
Somebody you know?
Yeah. Oh, there's I recognize some of the fans
Oh, sweet.
in the chat. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
my
there's some
community. They're
new
great.
names in here. So there's actually some of your folks coming
Yeah.
over. That's cool. Oh, we gotta. Yes, that is the end. You can. What if I forget to do a second one? I have people being like, "You never told me to stop drinking."
I have this. This is a genetic thing in my family. When there is like a cup or a bottle of anything that is open and capable of being drank,
Mm.
I do it. I am compelled to do that just quickly.
Okay.
So ever since starting the stream, I saw you drinking maybe twice. I had like a whole mug of tea and 2 glasses of water, and I just can't not do it. And when something's empty, I have to fill it up again. So it's very surprising that I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah, like
But that's-
well, I'm congratulations on not being an alcoholic. I have that problem at parties for sure, because I have a nervousness around me, and I have kind of a closed position and a slight oral fixation. I'll end up at the party constantly like this, like with whatever drink is in my hand, whether it's a wine glass, it's just like that. And sips are very frequent. And all of a sudden I realize that I've been subtly pushing people away with this drink for a long time. And also now it's empty.
Yeah, no, I mean that is specifically like not something that happens so much because I'm not as much of an introvert, but I get what you mean. Yeah, it's that, and it's gone, and then you're drunk like just before everyone else.
That's not pleasant.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
that's not a good experience.
Do you do well at parties? Do you enjoy the party atmosphere?
I love parties. I don't like clubs. I think clubs I hate. You can't talk to anyone. It's people being loud, and let's be honest, nobody knows how to dance really.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is that the purpose of going to clubs, is to show off your incredible dance moves?
No, it's not. It's to get laid, which is I like going to clubs with like groups of friends where you know what the situation is beforehand. But then as the evening gets like progressively into the wee hours of the morning, you have to start, fighting off thirsty people who
Who just want to drink. They just
How
want a
do I-
little bit of water from you.
What's a euphemism for motherfucker?
We apologize. I apologize on behalf of my friend who's
Who-
yeah.
Who are trying to. I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I was learning. I actually had a conversation with a guy who was like the lead brewer at a pub. Because I've had that question for a very long time. Like, why is this place louder than reasonable? Right? Like, why can I not talk to anyone in this place? And he explained it to me as like a very calculated business decision. It's like, look, we don't do this at all times of the day. We tune the music based on the time of the day and what we want people to be doing.
Wait, did you understand pubs?
Yes.
I said clubs.
No. But I think like it made me.
Okay,
think
but I
about-
know what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It made me
okay.
think about like music generally, and like the reasons why a club or a pub or any public space might choose to do a thing that is like grating or for him, he said, look, we're trying to make the music a little bit grating and annoying at peak hours because we want you to drink your drink and eat your food and get out the door. And then more people are going to come in and they're going to drink drinks and eat food. Whereas if it's a lull time, we give you a nice experience. We want you to hang around and have a second drink and a third drink. And I imagine, like, I've often thought that the like overwhelming volume at clubs is partially related to the fact that the more you drink or the more you talk, the less you might drink.
Yeah. I rarely drink at clubs. I just go in, and then at some point somebody will come by with shots, but that's really it.
Just somebody, a friendly angel from the crowd emerges with tequila.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually I'm a bit hesitant to accept drinks from people that I don't know.
That's wise, I think.
But yeah, no, that's generally, and then it's just moving on engaging in rhythmic motion on the dance floor. And I mean, usually the music sucks. That's one of the big things that I don't like about. There's so much good music out there. Do they play it in clubs? Never. I just.
We've found a nerve, I think, or at least we found an opinion. Because I feel like I'm so hesitant to have opinions on art, like even bad club music. All I can say is that, like any music, all I can say is this is not my taste.
No, I mean, that's obviously that is what it boils down to in the end, right? But it's just so gratifying to look down on people who have different tastes than you, just for no reason other than to inflate your own ego.
I feel like we've just solved the internet. We've just put our fingers
yes
on a major factor of human psychology. I believe, I don't know. You have a word for that?
We could make
Germans,
one up.
You Germans have words for everything.
Well, we can make up a word.
Someone was telling me that there was a German word for having, or a German phrase for having luck in your misfortune.
Glück im Unglück, yeah.
Okay.
It just means luck in your misfortune. It's like silver lining.
Okay.
So silver lining is really more of a thing, of a specific term, because Glück im Unglück just means luck in unluck, so misfortune. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the silver lining doesn't entirely apply. Because I was like, what I was thinking in relation to this was that if I suffer from a COVID tragedy, I hope that it happens while people still care about people talking about their COVID tragedies, and so just before it gets overloaded. And so I asked this to the internet, and someone came back with, "There's a German phrase." But I
mean, that kind of makes sense. It's the people are suggesting Schadenfreude. I don't
that's
think
different.
Unless you think that people who have the incorrect taste are somehow damaged, which is of course is the case, but I don't think you're allowed to say that out loud.
I think the Schadenfreude, they're referring to my thing though, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't think that, like, it's not that I want people to be happy at my misfortune. I want to be happy at the timing of my misfortune because people at least care about it. I think that's what I'm at.
I think people are going to keep on caring though with the way that this is going to develop. Until the point where I have cured coronavirus. Why did I want to say that? Where the Irish have cured coronavirus, and that's at that point it's just everything's going to go back to normal and no one is going to care.
You're putting your money on the Irish, huh?
I absolutely am. I mean, I am very partial to Irish beer, and if I wasn't able to have that every day with my friends, I too would develop a test to get rid of this weird disease in a matter of hours.
Well, there was a story that came out with that about Canada too, because as soon as we shut down all of our hockey, a company came out with a potential coronavirus vaccine. Spurious correlations, but
it's funny though.
Still fun.
It's somebody
finding
is
security.
suggesting protein folding. That's actually a good thing. I'm doing protein folding, not as we speak because I have to have the processing power free. But I highly recommend
Oh,
people do protein.
you've
folding.
got folding at home running.
Yeah, yeah. I am just throwing money out for the electrical bill.
Have you monitored how much it like if you go into your
Let me see.
your computer's like I don't know, task manager or whatever, because I haven't got it on here yet. But
Oh yeah, I have it on full. I have it running on full usually,
Okay.
and it just consumes a lot of processing power.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But you can do it on like low levels, so you can do other things while you do it. And sometimes I just won't remember, and my
Yeah.
computer will just be screaming at me. I'll be doing something in Photoshop, and I'll be bloody Photoshop trying to not working properly here. I want to just select a color and make this square look the way that I want it to, and it's all so slow. And I just have forgotten that I have this massive folding thing going on in the background.
Yeah.
It's called folding at home is the software that it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like SETI at home, but for
yeah.
things that are actually useful. I'm sorry. I used to be a big SETI guy.
You were.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Did something happen to your microphone? Because I feel like you've gone a little quieter just now.
Okay. I'm going to try to be closer to the microphone.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that better?
A little bit. I don't know. Tell us in the chat if you can hear
Yeah.
Gideon properly. You were a SETI guy.
Yeah, I had that from my grandfather. He had it was like a plaque from SETI because he was SETI at home because he was like a super power user who had just processed vast amounts of data for them.
What were they processing?
Just you have this massive amount of radio noise that's coming in from space. And there's like certain patterns that you look for in them, but you need like processing power to and they have these insane amounts of data sets and they have to be looked through. And they're using all these like computers that are out there because we might have received an intelligent radio signal, but we don't know.
Right.
You would think that it would be obvious, but it might not be. No, I'm huge into like SETI alien. I used to when I was like 13. I was big into like ghosts, conspiracy theories, aliens.
Were you on the internet at that time? Is that
yeah? I had a forum about conspiracy theories in Germany that actually gained a bit of a following.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's why I think I still am fascinated by conspiracy theories, and I'm an open-minded guy, but most conspiracy theories are so easy to debunk. It's just boom. But this is how this is why I'm very confident when people say, "Oh, we have to like make sure that conspiracy theories don't get a foothold anywhere." And it's like, no, this is just talk to people. And just actually respect their opinion on the thing, and then you will be able to convince them that this is how I do it. This is how I've done it for many, many years. You just need to actually understand what they believe.
Are you able to do that on like over text, or does it require an in-person interaction? Because it seems to me that the flame wars that happen around conspiracy theories on the internet are like, they might be largely the same problem that we were talking about before of like, just this conversation is much more like, especially empathy and like connection is so much harder.
Yeah.
You have to be really skilled at it to do it by like over a forum.
Well, it depends, I think. Well, during my forum times when I was 13, I was all about I thought the moon landing was never fake. But
I like that you're talking about this like it was true, whether it was true at the time is a function of whether you believed it.
My beliefs determine realities.
Hey, that's quantum mechanics. That's not quantum mechanics. It's not how that works.
There's this film like what the bleep do we know
Oh,
or something where they said, oh, it's quantum mechanics, where if you think that the tree is actually made of marshmallows, the tree will actually be made of marshmallows. And the reason it's not is because you don't believe it hard enough.
That's where, because
Like,
they were like precisely halfway. That was a really annoying show. I was shown that show in high school. I think it was grade 11 by like this very Buddhist, like sort of wannabe guru English teacher that I had, who was also the drama teacher, who now plays bongos in a local reggae group in my hometown. And he showed us this as like, wow, look at this, the universe and how water has memory and all this stuff. And I think that was actually one of my first major exposures to quantum mechanics. And I mean, it took me a little while to separate out the fact from the fiction. There are some, like, they do point out in that film some really interesting facts about quantum mechanics. Like there is genuinely a possibility within the universe, like a very small possibility, that a piano will materialize over your head and fall on you right now. Like that is in fact a thing that, if you believe in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, in some branch of the universe that just happened, along with every other possible thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And that's that's genuinely weird. Where
that's how teleportation works.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah. No, you go into the teleportation thing, and in most universes, you cease to exist. But in some universe, it's going to be a perfect copy for you, materialized at the exact spot where you want it to go.
You've just invented the world's worst teleporter.
That wasn't me. That was Isaac Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
good.
That wasn't me. I enjoy like the quantum suicide thing. You've read that presumably.
Yeah, I still, if I find it pointless because I'm still dead. It's like to me it's because there's like, it's still different universes, even if the universes branch off.
Okay, so we should explain the quantum suicide thing, because it's a slight variation on this. But the idea...
No, I know what it means, but I can't, like, I don't think I can quite wrap my head around. It's like when, what's it, not Diogenes, the Stoic philosopher, the other one that was ripped, that wasn't Plato, who was like, oh, well, or Socrates. It's like, well, if you're dead and nothing happens, you won't care. It's like, yes, but that's not, that doesn't help me emotionally at all.
Okay, but it really depends on what you define as you. So,
yeah.
So the quantum suicide, like, idea is that if you commit suicide in some way, there will be some very strange, obscure universes where quantum jigglings are magnified in such a way that your attempt fails. Now, the problem with it generally is that most failed suicide attempts are still pretty horrible, and I don't think people would recommend them.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the idea would be that if you could, like, if you could have some quantum way to, like, instantly obliterate you in half of all universes, you wouldn't notice because you would be obliterated in those universes and alive and well in other universes.
Yeah, but I'd still be obliterated in those universes. So it doesn't help me that I'm alive and well in other universes, because my string of consciousness still ends in one of these two directions.
Well, but it branches and ends up in both of them.
Well, I mean, no, it just in one of them, because in the other ones I'm dead.
Okay, but, like, imagine, so the idea of many worlds is you become entangled with quantum objects that are in many different states, and that feeds back until you yourself are fundamentally two different versions of you going off into different universes. That's presuming that's happening to you all the time. You are becoming multiple versions of yourselves, and both of them would have to be you. There's no preference that the universe is giving to one or the other of yourself.
Yeah, but they're all me. None of them are not me, except for the ones who die.
Yes, but if you were able to artificially trim the branches of that tree such that only half of them sprouted, would you be any less alive than you currently are?
No, but that doesn't matter. I mean, it depends on which branch of the tree this particular stream of consciousness ends up on, and it's both of them, obviously.
Both of them, yeah.
But it's still the parts of the tree that you trim off; they're still gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't like. I mean, I wouldn't even have the ability to think, well, at least I'm not dead in all of these other universes because I'd be dead. But it doesn't. It's like the same with people with like legacy or uploading your mind to a computer. That's a copy of me. And of course, with quantum mechanics, that's a bit different. But I think they're the problem that I have is a philosophical one.
Well,
because I'm willing to
yeah,
I'm willing to accept that like different versions of me in the future are still me, and I'm also willing to accept that because I change every day, I kind of die all the time. But it's never like irreversible. It's never like a full stop. This is the line. And there's other things going on here, but this is the line where I am at.
That's
right.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but at the same time, it's also like imagine that there was a working teleporter that disassembled you and reassembled you, the copy of you on the other side.
That's death.
It may be death, but if I ask you coming out the other side whether it was death, they won't say so.
No, I definitely would.
There's no
because I would still have my same memories and I would still have the philosophical opinion. I would know that I was an entity just assembled out of the material. I was a copy.
But in no way would it feel like you had died to you.
No,
right?
but I would have died. Though.
In fact, I
wouldn't feel like it, but it would have happened.
Would you feel grateful to have been created if you came out of a teleporter?
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
But I would be like, oh, at least I'm not the one who died.
But I don't really see the distinction because in sort of my view of the universe, there is information traveling along through time that is correlated in such a way that it creates a conscious experience, which is you. And from one moment to the next moment, that information is evolving according to the laws of physics. But as long as at the next moment it preserves these structures, it's still you, right? And then if you teleport that same information instantaneously so that coming out, it's still a bunch of waves and particles interacting in a way that are you, I don't know what else it can be. That's all that you are to me.
But consider this, right? You do this, you have this technology, but you don't die. Like it doesn't need to deconstruct you.
Yeah.
It just makes a perfect copy of you and then puts you at the other location. Which one of you is you?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing as with
So
the many
why
worlds.
Die? I'm willing to accept that the other me is also me, but it's not this stream of consciousness. For me, it's all about this particular stream of consciousness that's going on right now, which I know sleeping and all that does interrupt that, but I'm fine with this.
So two things. I think one is that there might be a distinction between ceasing a particular branch and the actual experience of death, right? If the experience of death is absent, you take away part of what it means to die in popular parlance, at least. And then I would say if you're not talking about the experience of dying, but instead you're talking about ceasing to exist, then you die when you cease to exist, and you would cease to exist when all of your branches have ended.
Yeah, but all of those, but I'm just the one. Ultimately, I'm just the one branch. Like it's like this. It's like statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, most people are fine, but there's also some people who are not fine. You know what I mean? And I am one of those people.
I'm not sure. Wait, what was the relation between those two?
So it's ultimately, right, is even if most branches of the tree aren't trimmed, some branches of the tree are still trimmed.
Yes.
And this stream of consciousness can end up as one of those branches, while at the same time also ending up as one of the others that don't get trimmed. But this particular version of that branch ends up ending.
But you could define every moment in which your consciousness doesn't split into two consciousnesses as a moment in which a potential branch has died.
Yeah,
in
but
that
that's
case.
I am yeah, that's true. And they all die, and it's terrible, but I'm not dead.
Right, but
It's
that's
a
no
very
that to me that's no different from the teleporter thing. It's just one more branch that you decided not to have.
yeah, but this is the one that I'm on. So this is the one that matters to me.
I think we're gonna have
I
to
don't care about all the others.
I think we're gonna have
They're
to
dead.
get off of this conversation topic. I don't think we're making any headway here. We've got, I mean, our concurrent viewers have gone up since we started doing this, so maybe this is actually what brings in the. We just have to be more intense. But
Yeah.
this actually segues because I had a Discord question for people, which was like, because I knew you're a science fiction writer, I asked people, what do you think, like, what science fiction things do you imagine, are you thinking about as they will actually happen? Like you expect to see them in your lifetime? And also like, what are science fiction-y things now that you, like, it's weird to you that they exist in the world? I don't expect to see teleportation. Like, I think it's actually an intractable problem. Like there are like quantum no cloning theorems that sort of prevent people from ever being able to perform it.
Well, it depends on the level of fidelity you want.
I mean, as long as, if we're not talking about absolute perfect fidelity, then I will 100% grant your point.
Ah, so now it's important that it's perfectly the same thing.
Yes, it has to, if it's not the same thing, then yes, then, well, I don't know if I would call it death, but I would at least call it something like brain damage. But I don't know. Depends on the particular
The technologies, though, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I've been having trouble with this actually. Like having guests on this, because I want it to be a place where people can actually hang out and interact, but at the same time, like, a good conversation doesn't have you constantly stopping the conversation to go and see what
for the
people are
chat,
saying on
yeah.
like a text feed. I don't know. Any ideas on how to like have you done that on your own streams? You figured out how to do that well?
So I do. This is the stream I'm going to do after this one. It's the Fast Food Thursday where I talk with some of my patrons.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's like a lot of people, and there's a conversation going on. Like very often, I'll just sit there and like drink beer and not say much, and then I can look into the chat.
And they just converse with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I find it difficult. Like this kind of conversation, I find it very difficult to follow the chat.
Yeah.
Because I'm too focused on this conversation. Yeah. It's like sometimes you can throw an eye on it, but it's not. I see. Yeah, that's very difficult, and I'm not sure that I have a good solution for it, because even in Fast Food Thursday, very often I won't like care about the chat very much because I'll be looking at Turning Point Greg's memes or something.
Sorry, what was that? Explain.
Do you know Turning Point USA? This is like a conservative think tank.
Yes, I'm aware of their existence.
So there's this British meme called Turning Point Greg's. Greg's is a bakery, especially in the northern part of England.
All right.
It's very popular. And the northern part of England, they're known for being like they're a bit like racist.
Right.
And
like,
it's just,
like they're separate. They're not actually, so they're not actually allied with Turning Point USA.
No.
They're
It's just memes.
a slightly racist bakery.
And it's no. The bakery has nothing to do with it. The bakery is just
Okay.
where the people of the lower classes of Northern England go to.
Okay.
And the memes are just like terribly drawn caricatures of people, and they say things like, "If I'm racist, right, why is Nagubu my favourite player in North FC? Checkmate, liberals." We had this thing at some point in the live stream, and I died quantum mechanically.
All right. Matteo
yes,
Delgado in the chat is saying, "Hate racism, love me ma."
Yeah, that's exactly what Turning Point Greg's is. Not racist, just don't like him. Exactly that shit. But did you actually ask like people in your Discord server?
I did ask
about
people in my
technologies?
Discord. I don't know. I
okay.
can check to see if there's anything.
That's because I'm curious
appealing.
about this because I have a hypothesis.
Okay.
Before you, okay, there's probably going to be. I mean, your audience is quite science literate, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to make a
I think.
prediction.
I mean, I
There's-
haven't talked to all of them, but
There's going to be a lot of more people are going to say faster than light travel than they are going to say radical life extension.
all right.
That's my prediction.
Should we? I'll give you a little. If you get one right, if we get one that conforms with you, and if it's wrong. Let's see what we got. Okay, let's see. Blackadder says, I expect to see dream state simulators with neural taps to be something in the near future to become fully immersed into a game. So like I guess like a Matrix type thing.
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, there's already like experiments with like transcranial magnetic stimulation going on, to treat like depression and stuff. Though I'm still holding out for the treatment of my depression to be ketamine. It seems like a lot more fun when it comes to treatments, but it's not approved here yet.
You have a very psychedelic aesthetic on your channel. Is that intentional? Like, is that?
Yeah, no, that's just an aesthetic that I developed. But
Okay.
I do like me some psychedelics, yeah.
All right. Have you tried ketamine?
No, that's why I want to try it in like a clinical environment to cure my
right.
depression.
Yeah, I was at the point one time where a bunch of us. So back in the day, I was fairly religious, and I was living in a sort of communal living space with like 5 other kind of like very liberal progressive Christian types. That's kind of who we were at the time. And one of us floated the idea that it would be great to get some mushrooms and take them and go to like a Pentecostal service, because it was like, this is like the most spiritual, the most spiritual high is supposed to be mushrooms. I mean, I'm DMT or whatever, but like mushrooms is up there, and then like the Pentecostals are really tapped into this like I don't know, like communal spiritual feeding off each other energy. And so my roommate just thought it would be really funny. And then another roommate of ours who was kind of like the one who he's a little, he comes from a little rougher background and also just does things. He just came home the next day with mushrooms. Like, I think it was a joke to everybody else, but to him it was an opportunity. It was like, hey guys, let's do this. In the end, we were all too scared to try it, and it stayed that way. It just like sat in our back stairs, kind of in like a cooled environment, in this like vacuum sealed package, until we had another roommate who had been homeless, who needed some money, and he said, I've got connections. Can I just go out and sell these mushrooms? And we said, all right, go ahead, get them off our hands. That's as close as I've come to psychedelics. I hope I'm not exposing myself to any sort of legal liabilities. I feel like podcasters talk very openly about their drug experiences, and I didn't even take this one. Come on.
You're just a dealer.
I'm not we were at one point a halfway house for a small quantity of mushrooms that then left our house. And profited an individual who, to be fair, was in a fair amount of need at the time.
Yeah. This is the Joe Rogan experience. The Tim Blake experience.
You tried DMT, bro?
Hey, have you heard chimpanzees do DMT all the time?
We were chimpanzees, and then we found shrooms, and now we're different. That's his line.
Yeah. But that was, we were doing something else.
Yeah. Let's see. So we've got someone said they expect D-mails, which I think that was a Stargate thing. Was a Stargate thing? It's like short for DeLorean emails, where they would send messages to the past. I do not expect that to be a thing.
That's FTL. That is FTL.
That
is FTL technology.
That is actually more than FTL. It's a common misconception that you can use FTL to travel back in time in your own location. I don't think it can't be done. You can travel back in time from your perspective to other locations, but you can't end up where you began before you were there. I don't think. Someone should check my math on that, but let's see. But you can do it with GR if you can figure out a way to make a closed time-like curve that wraps space-time back around to the past. I don't know. There might be ways.
Yes, I understand this.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Indeed.
Let's see. There's a whole separate chat in the same thread going on about origami, and I don't know what that's about. I don't know how to make a Discord work. Let's see. Lucille says, I'd love for teleportation to be a thing. So
that's FTL.
That's not FTL. That is
FTL. Teleportation is FTL.
No, that is L.
I mean, yeah, it probably depends. Yeah, if it's like, yeah, okay, if it's L.
I don't believe that they're imagining a new signaling that would allow you to transmit the information faster than
I'm just trying to be right here, okay?
Okay, so far we've got various technologies that you are shoehorning into faster than light travel. So
yes.
We'll see. Let's see what else. Autonomous driving is a thing I didn't expect to be a thing, especially not this fast. Apparently, autonomous driving is somewhat less robust than people are assuming. Like the Google one is genuinely like learning and figuring out how to drive, but a lot of the other ones are literally just trying to like have a really precise GPS and then not run off the road, which sounds sketchy to me. So Valdemar says everything going on in SpaceX seems sci-fi. I would agree with that. I feel like that's almost their intentional aesthetic.
FTL.
I think we've lost Gideon and we've replaced him with a talking monkey who has one phrase. Someone else is asking if anyone's ever read Warcross. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Something like The Martian. Alex Noth expects to be a genuine reality. So like Mars bubbles, etc. Are you going to say it?
No, you don't need FTL to get to Mars.
All right,
unless you could.
So far, I will grant you that so far there's been nothing that's even partially related to radical life extension. Although
yes,
there might be ways to get teleportation to extend your. I mean, if you can.
No, because you die. We've been over this.
But would you sacrifice yourself for the opportunity of a perfect copy of yourself to live 500 years in the future?
I might, yeah.
Well, that's very noble of you, given your beliefs.
Yeah, I have a lot of self-love.
You just have to love all of yourselves equally. There's a lot like the rationality blogs universe have a whole theory on this.
There's some versions of me that I do not want to love.
But I hope you can love the version of you that is identical to yourself. I don't know how you're currently doing, but I would wish that for you.
Thank you.
I think that's. We got anything else? We've got a feature of reality that sounds crazy to me is, among other things, the idea that space and time, as we perceive them, are merely an illusion. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, simulation theory.
No, I think it's more just the idea that space-time is like a four-dimensional object instead of being space with time being a totally separate thing. And don't tell my physicist friends, but I'm not entirely sold on that. We'll see.
Yes, me as well. I understand this. I am also a very intelligent guest.
It's you have heard the term space-time, yes?
Yeah.
It's just the idea that there's no like time is dependent on your point of view. Like what direction in space-time is time depends on how you are moving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's parts of time that if you're moving, they're part of your space, and parts of your space are parts of other people's time. So that's pretty true, but I don't know, I'm not super sold on that it'll end up that way. Like it might be kind of like a feature of us being such big lumbering creatures that there are things about our reality that seem absolute but that are not in fact absolute. And someone keeps messaging me on Facebook, and then it's going into the stream. I think we're gonna have to wrap it up because it's 4:59 here. I don't know what time it is there, but you've got another stream that you're doing, right?
22:59, yeah, in like half an hour. Well, we can't talk about radical life extension.
I guess not. But
Valdemar's already complaining. We're going to sing about science soon.
We are.
I think we need to sing about science at least one before we wrap this up.
We got to do a little sing about science. So let's do it. Maybe we can do radical life extension. Hold on. Oh, it's a little slower than it usually is. Uh-oh. Oh, that's strange. We're gonna do that? Let's do that. That's funky today. Oh yeah. Woo. We need kind of a different chorus. We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Does that work? We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Does that work? Not really. We're gonna sing about science. We're gonna sing about science. Does that work? Not really. We're gonna sing about science. This one's a little rough now. We're gonna sing about science. Does that work? Not really. We're gonna sing about. Alright, okay. We're gonna sing about life today. We're gonna sing about radical life extension, yeah. Gideon says it's pretty cool. It's a thing you should think about more. I don't know if it deserves your attention. Actually, that's not true. I think extending life is groovy. I think it makes it harder to come to terms with your mortality. If you think it's possible. That's the thing that's been going on in my brain. But if you want to, you could look into different ways that you age. Try to destroy somatic cells, expand telomeres, and hope you don't get cancer today. Oh, we're gonna sing about science. 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 Does that work? Not really. We're gonna sing about. We gotta do at least one more verse, cause there's another side to this curse. That's not a rhyme that works. That's okay, I'm kind of a jerk with it. We're gonna go to FTL, the faster than light travel. There's more people here in the chat that think about that. I think I don't know, no. Don't know how it is gonna go. I think that Lorentz invariance might be illusion of the consequence that we're so big we don't see the truth. But if you know that it might not help you, you're still stuck as a light speed wave. Fundamentally, you can't get out. No escape to FTL. No, gonna sing about science. Science. We're gonna sing about science. That works? Not really. Oh, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Science. No. We're gonna sing this about rough. Science. This is a rough, particular thing. Sing about science. Okay, Gideon, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Is there anything you wanna? Is there anything you wanna plug? Where can people, if people want to watch your stream? This one's just for patrons.
Oh, don't watch my stream. Don't watch my stream. It's on that one's on my second channel anyway. That was just like a patron stream, as I say things that really shouldn't be said, publicly or privately, with my patrons on that one.
All right.
No, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't ignore the rest.
Okay. Yeah. Go find it. Go find Gideon's YouTube channel. If you Google his name, you can probably find his short stories. If you care to read them. And once again, I disown everything that he has said and will say. And,
Me too, by the way. I also am doing that.
cool. Well, I hope to have you back if this keeps going for, ages.
Yeah.
Sound good? All right. Peace,
Oh yeah,
brother.
definitely.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your stream and catch you later. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Tomorrow we
Should
got
I
a
just-
solo stream going on. So before we exit, just spam in the chat so we can I can say who's here. We got the Oak Staff, we got K Rose Go, we got Philippa Beckman and Smith, Lord Crafty, the Media Wrangler, Mr. Dot Me. Let's see who else we got. Philippa Beckman, we got Ewa Jasic, Prox Centauri, Chino Hoshu, we got AA Bowser. The Media Wrangler's here. Valdemar Burnding Hansen is back. Amalirical is here. We got Morgan Harris, Liam Britt, Raccoon-a-Man, Singing Fever 0709 is here. We got ZV Hunry. We got someone sending me more things in Facebook. I really gotta figure out how to turn that off. We got Non-Euclidean Dreamer, the Mamgoosian, Jack NY86, welcome to the chat, and goodbye for now. Althena Luna is here. Jeanette Larson, Asliha Snack. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can't read that. Sergio Best. Thank you all for stopping by. Tomorrow we're gonna have a solo one. So it'll be back me just just doing goofing off and singing things and singing about science and whatever for 2 hours. Just me. All right, sounds good. So cheers. Have a fun one. Science.